Hello, Chiefs and Goats. It's Mjolnir Monday, January 21st. I'm Sexy Thor, and it's time for your weekly Cloud Chat. Championship Sunday was yesterday in the NFL to decide who's going to the Super Bowl. The Rams beat the Saints in overtime, and, there's a lot of controversy because the Rams, everybody's saying, they weren't called on a defensive pass interference or something, but you know what? I just say it's, either still karma for Bounty Gate still going through, or, the gods just thought it was unholy and improper for the Saints to be able to compete and possibly win a Super Bowl in Atlanta, because that would be the biggest kick in the gut from the universe, and God knows the Falcons have had plenty of that. And the Patriots beat the Chiefs in overtime right afterwards. And both of these were great games, I gotta say, but the Chiefs-Patriots ones was really amazing. If, at the very least, you were a Patriots fan or you really didn't have a dog in the fight, or you kind of had a dog in both fights, like me. And the Patriots were up 14-0 at the half, and then there were 4 lead changes in the second half leading up to overtime, and of course the Patriots called heads, and then they drove down the field and the Chiefs never had a chance. I know the feeling. So anyway, it'll be Rams versus Patriots in Super Bowl 53 on February 3rd. I know some friends of mine will be going for Patriots, but I think it's safe to say at least the Sexy Thor and Lightning Lad part of Thunder Talk and of our own little mini podverse are going hardcore for the Rams. They gave us Lakers, they gave us Motley Crue, now they're giving us Jared Goff, Todd Gurley, and Aaron Donald. And Greg Zuerlein, cannot forget that kicker. What an amazing kicker. But really the matchup you really got to be looking at that's got some story to it in this isn't just Brady versus Goff, GOAT versus newbie, whatever. It's Todd Gurley versus Sony Michel, because they're both wonderful running backs from the University of Georgia. They found a lot of success in there. And this is Sony Michel's second year in a row getting to play for a championship at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. He was a part of last year's Georgia team that was up on Alabama. Then they switched to Tua Tagovailoa, and then 13 months after that sort of crash, Sony Michel's getting to play for a Super Bowl 1 month after Bama got absolutely dominated, owned, dismantled, embarrassed, whatever you want to call it, by Clemson. And of course, everybody knew Todd Gurley was a running back that definitely deserved to shine and play in a Super Bowl or several ever since he came on the scene as the lone bright spot of a garbage St. Louis Rams team back in 2014, and now they're really getting their due, and all they really had to do was get rid of Jeff Fisher. So there you go, Super Bowl 53, February 3rd, Rams versus Patriots. Let's go. Also, Captain Marvel character posters were released. It was about 10 of them, but it felt like they brought out a poster for literally every single character in there. And the only thing more important besides, the poster of Captain Marvel herself, which is always amazing, is Goose, her cat, who's called Chewie in the comics, by the way. He has his own character poster, and I said it on Facebook, and I'll say it a million times up until I pick it up on Blu-ray. That's all they needed to show me, and I already want to watch this movie like 5 million times. Also, speaking of Captain Marvel, Saturday, which will be 2 days prior to Post Day, we got to interview Wheatley and hang out and drink some tequila with him for some good times. There might be a little bit of something coming in issue 8, maybe with him when he got to talking with us and Beth and Kavika. But our main interview, where it's just Sexy Thor, Lightning Lad, and Wheatley, that will be coming in issue 9, which should be like roughly 2, 3, 4 weeks. It comes when it comes, guys. I mean, we're giving you these little weekly nibbles, and we're really just making it when we're ready, okay? We're like the Def Leppard of the podcasting world here. Or if that's too pop metal 80s-ish of a reference for you, we're like the Tool of podcast world. And what does this have to do with Captain Marvel? Well, I ask Wheatley because I'm tired of hearing people saying Captain Marvel shouldn't be a woman, blah, 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 Miss Marvel, whatever. Yeah, I had Wheatley set the record straight. He's already going to set the record straight in a future episode called The Many Lives of Captain Marvel, but he and I really break it down and explain to you the difference between Captain Marvel DC, Captain Marvel Fawcett, the OG, and Captain Marvel in comics, and why Miss Marvel has been called Captain Marvel since 2012, which literally takes up 2 phases of the MCU, so it's pretty long-standing and legit. I mean, just saying. Anywho, wrestling. We all love wrestling. Just a reminder, NXT TakeOver Phoenix is this Saturday, January 26th on the WWE Network. It'll be Aleister Black versus Tommaso Ciampa for the NXT Championship, Bianca Belair versus Shayna Baszler for the Women's Championship, Ricochet versus Johnny Gargano for the North American Championship, and the War Raiders versus the Undisputed Era, or specifically Roderick Strong and O'Reilly, I guess. Those guys that hold the tag titles. Bill O'Reilly, John C. Reilly, I don't know. O'Reilly versus Strong versus the War Raiders, Hanson and Rowe, Mr. Sarah Logan, for the NXT tag titles. And going into Raw, Braun Strowman was removed for the for pretty much ripping off the door of Mr. McMahon's limo and flipping it over, chasing down Baron Corbin, which the beginning of this episode of Raw kind of reminded me of a few months ago when Raw was just depressing and shit every week up until after TLC. But he was removed from his Royal Rumble Universal Championship match with Brock Lesnar. And Finn Balor's in after winning a fatal 4-way involving John Cena, Drew McIntyre, and Baron Corbin. And also winning a match before that where Jinder Mahal wanted to fight him for his spot in said fatal 4-way. So all this a couple days after going to Blackpool and schooling Jordan Devlin. He definitely earns the title Extraordinary Man Who Can Do Extraordinary Things. And A Moment of Bliss, who I hear from sources is like, the Thunder Talk of Monday Night Raw, but with a much prettier host, but, just as awesome as Sexy Thor. She unveiled the WWE Women's Tag Team titles, and the first winners of it will be decided at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view in an Elimination Chamber match between 6 women tag teams on February 17th on the WWE Network. Also at the Royal Rumble, which is 6 days from post day on January 27th, if I haven't already said that, is Rusev versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship, which is something that's just constantly happened since November's pay-per-view Crown Jewel. So, the U.S. Championship is kind of floating in there. It's not having some good times. It needs a good little Seth Rollins-sized kick in the ass to bring it back like he did for the Intercontinental Championship. Which, God, I still can't believe Bobby Lashley's the champion now. So, oh man, and that match, I gotta tell you about that match, because it was a triple threat between him, Seth, and Dean. And Seth and Dean actually teamed up a few times to beat the crap out of Lashley. It was like some evil tease of the old Shield days. But alas, even with 2/3 of the Shield teaming up begrudgingly again, Bobby Lashley won, with, of course, help of his little side punk, Lio Rush. How unfortunate. Oh, and one little final thing concerning what happened with Raw and SmackDown. There were little bits and pieces of appearances by EC3, Lacey Evans, Heavy Machinery, and Nikki Cross across both episodes, and even one fantastic one where after Sasha Banks and Ronda Rousey had a little fake-ass argument, which of course Sasha was just taking every awkward thing Ronda Rousey said the wrong way. Bailey and Natalya were sort of arguing, and then they had to team up against the Riot Squad, and they had to find a third member. And I was expecting it to be Ember Moon, because it's kind of typical, even though Ember Moon is fucking awesome. I will never, ever argue that point. So, I mean, that sort of 6-woman tag team would have been great. But instead, they brought out Nikki Cross, and the Riot Squad looked legitimately terrified. Oh my god, guys. It was hilarious. I was laughing and howling from my job's break room. Some people might have been concerned. And speaking of that particular time, I watched Reign of the Superman, which is the sequel to the Death of Superman animated movie that came out a few months ago, and I mean, it's DC animated movie, so it was really good. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to tell you. It still blows my mind that Cress Williams, who plays Black Lightning on the CW TV show Black Lightning, is playing John Henry Irons as Steel, and Cameron Monaghan, who plays Jerome / Jeremiah / literally the future Joker on Gotham, voices Superboy. And it was funny seeing Superboy act more like Kid Flash and Impulse on Young Justice in this movie than the brooding and always angry Superboy that I've been watching in Young Justice, which, by the way, I've actually caught up on. But yeah, they release 3 episodes every Friday, so I'm caught up, sort of, because I haven't seen the new 3 episodes from this last Friday, because guess what also came out last Friday? Well, if you listened to last week's Weekly Thunder, yeah, you know it also came out last Friday, Punisher Season 2, and lo and behold, I'm actually done with it all. I spent Saturday from like 9:30 a.m. to going off to record at Studio D at 6:30, just binging it after binging the first 5 episodes Friday night when I got off work, and finishing up during Championship Sunday yesterday, and if they cancel this, I literally might have to cancel my Netflix subscription, because it was crime enough that they canceled Iron Fist and Luke Cage. Yes, even Iron Fist. And it was horrible that they canceled Daredevil after that wonderful 3rd season. But come on, you can't cancel the Punisher. You can no longer cut off our supply of far and above the greatest interpretation of the Punisher ever. No. Plus, I mean, they already took away John Bernthal's awesomeness off The Walking Dead. You can't take it away from me in the MCU, man. You can't. Oh yeah, I also saw Glass. I thought it was really good. Had a nice little double twist on it. And literally everybody else I talked to really enjoyed it. So really the critics are just bombing this for whatever reason. I don't know, because guess what? I don't read reviews. Because, I don't care. You know I don't care, because you know how many times I've seen Suicide Squad. So this episode's getting a little long in the tooth, so I'll close it out with a simple drink, fight, and today's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Take some time to remember him and the great things that he's done, and watch some NBA basketball while you're at it, because there's televised almost the whole day, almost as much as Christmas. So remember that man and his great deeds, watch some basketball, and if you've got the day off work, then honor that with revels too.